My name is Jeffrey Robertson. I am 68 and I was diagnosed in 1996. Well, it was basically life-changing for me because I was married with 2 children and I'd been sick for 2 years. They told me I had chronic fatigue syndrome. Then I went and had some more blood tests and they said that when I went in to see the doctor, he said to me, and I quote, "You're HIV positive. Here's something to help you sleep tonight. Go to the hospital tomorrow and get sorted out. And then you need to tell your wife and have your wife and kids tested." Life-changing. Literally destroyed my life as I knew it at the time. With my ex-wife, that when she left, she took the kids. She told them I passed away after 2 years. And I had to re-engage with my children after 7 or 8 years. And I had to spend time with my children, being counselled with a counsellor that I was alive, not dead, which was this really big thing for them, of course. But I thought, you know, that was my end of my relationship. But once I sorted out the truth from the lies from my wife, my children accepted me 110%. They are my best friends. They look after me. My daughter just gave birth last year to a boy, and she's having another. Well, she's got now she's pregnant again, having another child. She's a doctor. She's doing really well. My son is a pianist, and he does really well in his job. So to see them grow up, to see them get married, to see them have a life, was something I never dreamt of, and that was really rewarding for me. And I had to also go in and forgive my wife and give her a little bit of a, you know, I understand sort of situation, because that was important. That if you don't forgive, you can't move on. So that's another important thing I found. I think that without the chair, I struggled a lot more because I was more sedentary. I couldn't get out of the house, so I couldn't physically get out of the house because I couldn't walk very far due to the stroke I had in 2003. And that caused me, you know, to be semi-confined to the wheelchair, and that left me with great difficulty because my right leg's got a cleft in it. I can't feel it, and I can't walk with it because it sort of goes all skew-if, all that sort of stuff. So to me, having the stroke and being like that and not being able to walk, talk or see for the first few months, I came a long way, and the best thing I had to come along was when I was confined at home was the wheelchair. It's enabled me to get out and volunteer for Living Positive Victoria, which I've done nearly on 20 years now. It's given me social activities, access them as well. Go to concerts of a night time or go out with friends for dinner. There's all access now that in the growing access venues all over Melbourne. You can now get into a chair to almost anything. Before you couldn't, it was very difficult. And the trams, you couldn't get on the trams, you couldn't get onto the trains, especially if you were trying to struggle with walking. And it was, life-changing. I think a good example of that is when I first got diagnosed, I was homophobic, and I was very, very anti-gay. And I went into the first time I went into a service provision, it was gay orientated, and they wouldn't. The guy came out and says to me, "How can I help you, dear?" And I said, "You can't. You know, that was my general attitude, and what I had to do was get over that, because I had to access services that were also occupied by gay people, and that was it stopped me from accessing them, because I wouldn't access them to go, so I didn't want to go through all that stuff that I was reliving all the time. So that was hard. And then once I got to learn to access services, my life changed. My quality of life changed, because I got the right education, supports and awareness from people who really knew. They knew because they'd been there, done it. And I think that's what I can say now. I've been there, done it. I was discriminated against with my HIV by someone who found out I was HIV positive in my hometown. They sprayed my outside HIV positive faggot, and I was devastated. And so when I found out who'd done that, I had to take a restraining order out on them, stop them from coming to me to give me a hard time. And also I had to take them to court, because they had discriminated against my disability, which at the time basically was HIV. And that was seen as a disability back then, HIV. So that was part of my learning all what I need to learn. And the judge said, if you do it to him again, you could go to jail or have a $10,000 fine to the guy that did it. And you know, I never had any trouble after that, because I went out. And what happened with that, it was sort of cathartic, because I went out and I had to go forward and tell people about stigma and discrimination, about living with HIV, and about what it's like to live with HIV and have that stigma and discrimination to live with, and it's how difficult it was. And once I got into the Public Speakers Bureau, I started to talk about it, my HIV and my living with quality of life improved, and I was able to then say, well, this has been cathartic in my journey, this changed my life, and that was very important. I think where you can access them at Melbourne Sexual Health, and there's no discrimination and stigma in that place at all. It's very well run by the staff. They deal with all these different needs of positive people, non-positive people, other STDs, and they treat you as a person, and they treat you as a equal. So it's really important that that's done from the start, because they don't discriminate, whereas some medical services do discriminate against you, whether they know it or not, because some of the staff in their service has not been educated properly. And so you're up against that sort of type of stigma and discrimination, because they just don't know. It's not that they mean any harm, but they don't know, but they do discriminate without knowing, which is really important. And as far as medications, well, you need to take them because they're life-changing. You need to take them every day because they keep you alive. They give you good health. You know, it's about living with HIV, not dying from AIDS. And I think that's a really important message to get across as well. Living longer. I mean, for me, it's important because I'm living with HIV, not dying from AIDS. I'm living longer. I'm going to live longer. I'm probably going to live longer than I would have done had I not gone on special diets, and my heart disease was taken care of by the special diets, and I wasn't sort of out there partying and eating and all that sort of thing, and building up my triglycerides and my lipids and all that sort of stuff. That didn't happen. I was able to be fairly well monitored by my diet, which kept down my cholesterol, which keeps you sort of basically heart disease free if you can cease to do that. So at the end of the day, that's where I've been blessed, is I've been, as far as living older, I've got an aged care package, Division 4, where they pay you all your care needs. And so some people are looking forward to going into a nursing home. I won't, because I've got all the things in my home that I need in place in case I get sick, when I get sick, and if I get to a stage where I've got to have care, long-time care, then I go into a certain care facility where I'll get supports regardless of my HIV. And I think it's important that people don't think that HIV is an ageing factor. You get older with it because you live longer because of the medications, but you don't, you're going to get old and die anyway, or get old and need supports, some people. And when you do, you're going to have to look to have a plan to do that. And that's all about that, planning and moving forward. Well, I think it's important to stay in touch with service providers that have certain provisions for people that are getting older, with HIV, or they're just getting older normally, as you call it. At the end of the day, I'd say that what you've got to do is just keep in touch with the services, put back in as much as you can, try to stay involved on a personal basis so as that you get something out of it, because when you give, you get something back all the time. Anytime you give of your time or of your just of your company or whatever it might be, just to keep people going, and having someone to talk to, in a safe space is really important for us as we move forward, especially as we're getting older. We need company, we need friends, we need socialisation, we need to get to anything that's offered for older people, get to it, because you're going to miss out.